Decoding Rumi's Masnavi by Pirjan. Part 1. How the companion of Jesus, on whom be peace, entreated Jesus, on whom be peace, to give life to the bones. A certain foolish person accompanied Jesus on his way. He espied some bones in a deep-dug hole. He said, "O companion, teach me that exalted name by which thou makest the dead to live. Teach it me, that I may do good, and by means of it endow the bones with life." Some believe that anyone who has the exalted name can do many miracles, and that is all the names of God. Many people have been looking for the exalted name. Jesus also knew the exalted name and was able to make the dead alive. Yet, it must be seen whether this name and power works for everyone. Flower is a name with a signified. The signified is the reality and differs from the word flower. It is impossible to come to its essence with the word flower. Within the human being, there are many things one must have within oneself. Rumi suggests that one must be able to manifest the exalted name in oneself and become the exalted name itself. Many of our inner experiences are lacking in depth. When we speak of the truth, as long as it is not present within us, it is only a word and a signifier with no signified. Some spiritual events have happened to us, and we have perceived them, and that perception is related to the presence of those events within us. One cannot fall in love just by repeating the word love, because being in love is an inner emotion, as well as an immediate and personal experience. People think that in mysticism, just by praying and meditating, it can be possible to achieve a great degree of excellence, but evolution always starts from within. Prayer and meditation are capable of doing miracles, but they may transform us just when we discover and observe facts from within. Rumi believes that one can come to understand mercy, science, and power of the universe when one is emancipated from our own mercy, science, and power. It is then that the human becomes the exalted name and finds the power to make miracles. In the present story, Jesus is confronted with an ordinary person demanding to know the exalted name for the revival of the dead. We cannot be filled with something until we are emptied. If we are to face the universe, we must abandon what we have made within ourselves. Transforming the form into formlessness in mysticism means that the grace of the beloved drowns the lover in the sea of love. This grace does not affect the beauty of the beloved, but affects the beloved. Understanding this formlessness is the first step on this course. But how to understand the formlessness? The tariqah is a different path from the sharia, and life in the forms is one of the deadly sins in tariqah. The tariqah is a different path from the sharia, and life in the forms is one of the deadly sins in the tariqah. Once Buddha asked one of his disciples if he had ever fallen in love. "I am here for the spiritual journey, and I am not looking for desires," he replied. Buddha told him, "One who does not know the difference between love and desire should not go down this path." We have to experience love and understand the difference between love and desire. We must fall in love before beginning meditation, the love of nature or everything else. The experience of love is the first step in understanding the formlessness. Those who have not experienced love accept no spirituality outside their logic. One should not fear, because with courage come valuable assets. Jesus said, "Be silent, for that is not thy work. 'Tis not meet for thy breath and speech, for it wants breath purer than rain and more piercing in action than the angels." Where does the human error coefficient come from? Theology suggests that the angel does not make mistakes. Human beings need to reach a stage so that they understand faster than the angels do. Those interested in meditation should note that meditation works when formlessness is understood. Otherwise, words will not help a human being reach the truth. The signifier itself is not the truth and the signified, but just its symbol. Language does not make real communication because it is relative and external. Real communication is realized when it is experienced within humans. How to understand the formlessness matters. Human beings always live by words, based on the type of their upbringing and habits. No one will fall in love by uttering the word love. To fall in love, you have to take a leap in the dark. When one is emptied of oneself and one's imagination, the universe flows within them. This is not to say that meditations are ineffective in reaching the truth. Great masters do not lead their students with a single meditation and suggest several ones to determine the appropriate approaches of the students. If the formlessness is understood completely, everything will be much easier and the interconnection with the universe will be possible. Lifetimes were needed that the breath might be purified, so that he, its owner, was entrusted with the treasury of the heavens. Suppose that thou hast grasped this rod firmly in thy hand. Whence will accrue to thy hand the cunning of Moses? The question of knowledge arises when we understand consciousness and see the mechanism of the mind and thought. Human may have the staff of Moses and repeat his miracles, but the mere instrument does not work and does not form a connection with the universe. Knowledge here is like the staff of Moses, but it is not meant to be as the science of today, and it may impede consciousness. When we only see the function of the mind, we have to wait and the result will be revealed to us. The formlessness is experienced when love is experienced. Consciousness should not be confined to knowledge because it misleads people. As mentioned before, there are all the features of the human being in the sperm, yet that potential must be realized. Human being has all the great abilities, but they must be able to manifest themselves, otherwise they would be the idiot companion of Jesus. The understanding of the truth should not be filtered by memory and knowledge with prejudice. When the truth is understood, all images and knowledge are discarded. Consciousness, therefore, differs from knowledge, and each individual must personally become the exalted name. To do this, formlessness has to be experienced, and love is one of the phenomena which can create this formlessness more than anything. He said, "If I am not one to pronounce such sacred mysteries, do thou pronounce the name over the bones." The functioning of the mind is very important, even as we move along the path of spirituality and tariqah. Observing the mechanism of the mind is also useful. In this way, the God of our imagination, which is the creature of our mind, exists within us without consciousness and manifestation of being. The mind is trying to inculcate us a mechanical understanding of mysticism through thought and memory, presenting the words as the very truth. This causes even the companion to try to teach Jesus a lesson because memory and thought rule him. Jesus cried, "O Lord, what are these hidden purposes of thine? What is the meaning of this fool's inclination to engage in this fruitless work? How has this sick man no care for himself? How has this corpse no care for spiritual life? He has left uncared for his own dead soul and seeks to mend and revive the dead bones of a stranger." God answered and said, "The backslider seeks backsliding. The thistle that has grown in him is the retribution for consequence of his sowing." Human life works by the law of causation. We always have the impression that good results are awaiting us for the activity we have done for our image of God. He that sows the seed of thistles in the world, be warned not to look for him in the rose garden. The misery of the human is a result of their own deeds, for they pursue concepts which are unknown to them, without observing the results of their thoughts and by merely following various authorities. As long as we do not see the mechanism of the mind, these experiences and developments will not change with a few words. Shams believes that in the world there are few people like Rumi who can observe and experience the interior, while there are so many like himself. If we are to enter deep meditation, we must grow and connect with the universe when the inner is opened. Without these conditions and this growth, there will be no change in humans. Doing miracles by the great human beings is always about making others believe and not about showing off. If he take a rose in his hand and it becomes a thistle, and if he go to a friend, he becomes a snake. The damned wretch is an elixir which transmutes into poison and snakes, contrary to the elixir of the God-fearing man. What helps people stay on the path of self-knowledge is to observe the mechanism of life, and if we are to start a movement, it must be without prejudice. In meditation, one has to experience the formlessness, and the easiest way to experience it is the immersion into the realm of love. There is so much difference between desire and love.